It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. All right. Going over the news, there is going to be a debate, and according to the Trump campaign, it will be under the original rules. You and I are looking for a Harris campaign response to that. We did not see that.
No, we didn't. I still believe she will look for a way to pull out and not debate him, but we'll see. I don't think she wants to be on a debate stage with him. I don't think she wants to do anything that's going to be live. And if you think about it, because according to the Trump campaign, mics will be muted, so there won't be any crosstalk at all, which means she's not going to get her moment to, hush the Donald. So
the reason I say that is there wasn't a quick response to the Trump campaign saying, no, that's not true.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so if they have made the agreement to keep the rules the same, that means when they focus grouped the position they were taking or polled the position they were taking, it polled terribly.
And the question would be, are they looking to get out of it in another way?
Well,
or is it going to happen?
Well,
I mean, it might just happen.
We're almost to the point of gaslighting. We're not there yet. It's just lies right now. And you can't say gaslighting because nobody has said, what are you talking about? She's always been pro-border wall.
As she's always said.
As she's always said.
Build a wall and make Mexico pay for it. But she coined that phrase.
So it's interesting because as long as she doesn't say it, and that seems to be the narrative, we started it because we were on it from when Tim Walz said, first I remember when he said joy, and we said, oh my gosh, he said it twice. And this was really early on.
Right.
And we said, watch, the DNC is going to be about joy. And it was. And then Clinton, all we're looking for is some joy, and I'm always looking for joy.
Exactly.
Give me joy, because I don't get it at home.
Yeah. Please, just one hour of joy. Just, please.
You're not going to get joy living with her.
I'm a vegan, and I'm married to Hillary. Please, somebody deliver some joy.
Did he become a vegan?
Yeah, remember?
Oh,
because of his heart problems.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And then,
yeah.
And then he went to Europe and was caught eating fish. Hey, Bill. No, you don't get to do that. Just sometimes. No. And put the cheese down, too.
Oh, my gosh. I can see Clinton.
Yeah.
He's probably depressed. I live with her, and I can't eat meat.
Yeah.
Why live?
Sprouts for breakfast and her. For the love of all that is holy, please bring me some joy.
So we...
I'm going to inhale. I'm going to tell you right now.
So we were on the joy thing, and then a couple of months ago when you had both Douglas Schoen from thehill.com, who's a Democrat pollster, and also Roy Teixeira, who runs a Liberal Patriot, I guess, website, that basically talk about the fact that the Biden administration was doing everything wrong. And when they came out with the suggestion that the Biden campaign needs to be more like Donald Trump and promote the things, and they even, I forgot which one it was, whether it was Douglas Schoen or Roy Teixeira, saying they've got to talk about stuff, they've got to be more MAGA. And we just, at that point, we said, wow, they got to be more MAGA. That's what Democrats are saying. That, and I think both used they need to be more MAGA.
Right.
And one actually said they need to talk about things like border security and possibly a wall. And now what we're seeing, it's like they're taking the advice.
Yeah.
But the fact is, you have to make people believe that you actually hold on to those positions.
Right.
You know, you have to, and that's why when I don't believe Dana Bash is going to ask the questions that need to be asked. I hope she does, because as we stated earlier, that you have to ask these questions. Why are you for a border wall? Why are you now for a border wall when your entire political career you demonized Donald Trump?
Right.
And are you saying Donald Trump was right?
Right.
Number 2, fracking. Are you pro-fracking? And again, what they should find is where she has come out and talked about the fact that no, we shouldn't be fracking. And then say, do you agree then that Donald Trump's position was the correct position now? And then you go to the EV mandates.
Mm-hmm.
And you do that. I mean, that's what I think she would do. I don't know. Look, she's a leftist political activist, Dana Bash is. She's the one, remember, in case you have short memories, we brought it up the other day, and this was the entire narrative that was set. Now, she didn't set this narrative, but the first narrative was set when Walz came aboard, and it was the picture of him in the camouflage and the rifle and the hunting hat, and it was and
to kill the wabbit,
and it was Elmer Fudd, and it was because you and I were dying laughing. That's the thing, when you cover everything in detail, you don't forget that you covered it, because that was just too funny, because the narrative coming from the Democrats and the media was Republicans can't handle a masculine Democrat male.
Yeah, right.
And we confronted it that night saying, well, wait a minute. We don't judge a man's masculinity by whether they're dressed in camouflage.
Right.
Or at the moment carrying a gun.
Right.
Or have a hunting hat on. So that's a stereotype created by them.
It's by the size of his truck.
And exactly, right, exactly. How big are the wheels on the truck?
Exactly. How high is it lifted?
Exactly. That's how we judge it.
Right.
And the bigger the wheels and the higher off the ground, the less masculine you are.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, gosh. And then it was a day late. It was a day later where I saw him. The only way I can say it is he was prancing onto the stage and doing the twirl with his hands waving in the air.
Yeah.
And I got on the air and said, no disrespect, because he had just passed away. And he did wonderful things to help people lose weight, especially women.
Mm-hmm.
And you actually met him before.
Right.
And I credit him with just having a great career doing that to help, especially women lose weight.
Yeah, Richard Simmons.
Yeah, Richard Simmons. And I said, my God, he looks just like Richard Simmons. And then it came about a week later is when somebody did the side-by-side. And it was like, oh, my. And then it was Dana Bash, to get back to the original point, who actually made the case just late last week that now Republicans cannot handle the new Democrat masculinity that isn't based on the normal testosterone masculinity. So they completely changed, and she was leading the charge for the change and saying in her, small little mind that apparently they judge everyone and put everybody into a category, is that he represents the new effeminate masculinity that exists out there.
Yeah.
And that was just at that point we went, wow, she's just a nutbag.
Yeah.
She really is.
Right.
Because nobody, you talk to Republicans, you talk to conservatives, it's all on the issues. Nobody gives a damn what you look like.
Right.
Now, we make fun of the stereotypes that the left creates, that they make up. They come up with a straw person. Well, some Republican out there doesn't like the fact that he's masculine with his gun and with his camouflage and the hat. And then 2 weeks later, some Republicans don't like the fact that he's an effeminate masculine male, whatever. And it's like, just shut up.
Yeah,
Because none of us...
she was clearly talking herself into a corner, you know, on that whole thing.
And so those are the questions she has to ask. And again, there's going to be a lot of criticism that it's a fluff interview. There's going to be a lot of criticism that why can't she do it alone? Why does she have to bring along her white male support mansplainer?
Yeah, exactly.
She needs a coach. Wow, I'm her coach. I'm her coach.
A wingman.
Wingman, yeah. I mean, it's just and that's the thing. It's not going to solve the problem. I'm still amazed. Again, I don't know how this is all going to end. Maybe America doesn't care about solving the problems that we have. Maybe imagery is all that the majority of voters want. I don't know. All I know is it didn't work long term, and the public got tired of what Biden's behavior.
Yeah.
And she is a mirror image, even worse, not going to the press and talking to the press and hiding and having a lack of transparency as to what she believes. And right now, if you ask the average American what she believes, they'll probably say, I don't know. I hear a bunch of different things. It seemed like she held one position. Now she holds another position. Well, what about Trump? No, we know where he stands.
Yeah. Right.
And so at the debate, Trump's going to have to, as we say, know how to deflect and simply go back to all those things you really believe, and don't say that she holds my positions now. What you say is she's lying about holding my beliefs, because she is. Everyone knows she's not pro-wall.
Well, that's it. I mean, you're going to have to corner her in those positions, and he's going to have to look to attempt to define her,
right,
so that she's forced to define herself.
And then you've got to make sure you bring inflation in, which is very simple. Are you better off with the Harris administration, or were you better off with me?
Right.
And why? Because everywhere you see it, CNN, MSNBC, everyone's out there interviewing people. And people, what's the first thing? They're not talking about the border even.
No.
That's on their mind, but what's the first thing? The thing that hits their self-interest. Let me give you a couple examples. This would be, I believe this is CNN? Just make sure. I believe this is CNN talking to someone. Here we go.
Looking at his checking account the last 4 years is enough for Charles Seamster to have already made up his mind. This November, the Republican said he'll be voting for a better economy, something he thinks Harris cannot deliver.
The issues that she talks about now, she's not proven. She's not proven. So, I don't know if she's trusted.
Do you think Trump is proven?
The economy was definitely proven.
There you go. Exactly what we said. Let's go to, this would be Fox News interviewing a young 22-year-old Gen Zer.
When President Biden was first in office, there was a honeymoon period until he tried to pull out of Afghanistan. And that's when he crushed one of my biggest dreams, which was serving in the military right after I graduated college. So then I look at a lot of the friends that I have who are male around my age. They want to have homes. They want to start families. They want to make a lot of money. We all have these individual dreams. And then we start to see that it's becoming less and less possible. I have guy friends who have finance degrees who are now baristas because they can't find a job. So I think in the Biden administration, a lot of our dreams are being crushed or hindered. But when we see Trump, we saw everything that happened in 2019 when Kamala Harris even said that prices are cheaper, buying a home was cheaper, maintaining family order and safety was a lot manageable. So I think that's what men my age are relating to.
And so what the Republicans cannot forget, and Trump cannot forget, is that it all still comes down to inflation, because that's everybody's self-interest.
Yeah.
That's how they survive each and every day. All the other stuff is important to bring up because it shows just how absurd the Harris campaign will go. She's not pro-border. She's not anti-EV mandate. We all know that.
One of the things that is not happening is people aren't this, on the financial channels, they love to do this. This is the new normal. I don't believe in using those words, especially when you're talking about things like inflation and people being underwater and not being able to make ends meet and nothing being affordable. And it's not going away. People aren't settling in going, oh, okay, great, fine, we're here. They're trying to deal with it, but they really are asking the question on a regular basis, when is this going to end? When are we going to fix this?
866-90-RED-EYE.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
A tropical storm update, courtesy of USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey. On the Atlantic front, quiet since Hurricane Ernesto in mid-August.
That may begin to change. There is an area of disturbed weather that is currently about halfway between the African coast and the eastern Caribbean Sea. And over the next week, there is the potential for some development of that active weather region as it heads toward the Caribbean.
With such a system expected to be slow in development, more activity has been observed in the Pacific Basin.
Currently, in the eastern Pacific, we have Hurricane Gilma and Tropical Storm Hector. Those two systems are over the open ocean far southwest of Baja California. And in fact, Gilma, as it moves into the central Pacific Basin over the next day or two, will be weakening but heading in the general direction of Hawaii.
In remnant form, once it arrives around the Big Island of Hawaii later this week. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So, yeah, we've been talking about, what the strategy of Trump should be now. And it all depends, part of what happens is what depends on this interview on Thursday. Does she actually get asked those questions? And does she have to answer the question, do you agree with Trump now on building a border wall? Do you believe in the EV mandate? Do you actually believe, why did you come up one of the first things about no tax on tips? That comes directly from Trump. And what's the other one? Fracking, yes.
Mm-hmm.
The whole pro fracking. Oh, are you a full supporter, unconditional supporter of Israel or what? Will they actually ask those questions? And if she doesn't answer, will she demand a follow up? Will be the question. But the fact is, if she comes out and publicly states, she says it herself. I'm for a border wall. I'm for no EV, mandates. I am absolutely pro-fracking. Then if she says it, how are the liberal networks going to handle? How does MSNBC handle that? How does CNN handle that? How does the New York Times? How does the Washington Post? How do they handle that? See, they don't have to answer it as long as she doesn't say it. That's part of the plausible deniability that we've been talking about. It's like, well, the campaign said it. I didn't say it. Well, an unnamed source said it. I didn't say it. And we know this because she would not state, she did not say, I'm pro-wall and I'm pro-fracking at the, convention.
Right.
She didn't say that. And so where do Democrats actually stand on that in the party? And you've heard no one. I've heard no reaction from any Democrat on the federal level whatsoever on anything that she supposedly now stands for that is 180 degrees different than what she was claiming just a month ago.
This is not your safe place. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So, yeah, that all depends on what happens and where she's standing on the issues.
Yeah, right.
Where Harris is standing on the issues. By the way, I'm just continuing the conversation. Sorry. We're talking about the debate and the interview tomorrow night with Harris and Walz and Dana Bash on CNN. But Trump at the debate has to tear apart where Americans know she doesn't actually believe these things. But then you need to get back to inflation because we just brought you, in fact, every single interview I see with people on the street, nobody's talking EV mandates.
No.
Nobody's even talking about the wall. It's in the back. It may be secondary. Everyone, my personal finances. They've got to focus on that like never before. Now, you use the other things to show that she's not a serious candidate and she's lying to you about what she really believes. And this is about going back to doing exactly what the Biden administration has been doing, which already is causing you problems. That's why the easiest position right now, the easiest that any candidate has it, is Donald Trump. Because as you could even hear that one, the one person they interviewed who said, well, how do you know Trump's going to do the right thing? Because he already did.
Right.
Trump doesn't need to get in to the weeds on specifically what he'll do. I'll do what I did last time.
It's honestly, he doesn't even, it's the specifics of it are different than even in 2020, because the comparison now with the Harris-Biden administration show a very stark contrast, and all you have to do is say, look what I did and look what they're doing. Yep. Look what she would do.
This isn't really hard, and when you have, I will say this, I've noticed this, I'm on the Nextdoor app, which now has become a whining app. People whine about everything. Somebody's dog's on my front lawn. And I get a notification. Next app, message for you. And it's like a subdivision 10 miles away, somebody complaining about a dog. But car insurance.
Oh, yeah.
That's been the last month. People are absolutely freaking about how high car insurance has gone up. You need to focus on things like car insurance and, that's gone through the roof. And homeowners insurance also. But lately it's been, at least in my area, that's what they're complaining about almost every day. Car insurance. I just got my bill. It's tripled.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about somebody who put that on there, that it tripled. And then the same thing going on. You'll see the threads on property insurance. The same thing. Well, you need to explain. Republicans need to explain why your car insurance is going up.
Well, and on top of that, then, rent.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Everything that all the things that hit you every day. The one thing about where prices are right now, and we talk about the other issue that is a close second or maybe at times tied, and that is the border. Well, for everybody, you are affected by high prices every day. You may not see the effects of the broken border every day. So there's the difference. It's and you're literally paying for the inflation yourself every single day, over and over again, everywhere you go, and you can't get away from it. There is no relief, and that's what people are waiting for. They're wanting a plan that's going to take them, in fact, quite simply, the Trump plan. Because inevitably, with every election cycle, man, I wish we could go back to the Man, wouldn't it be great if we could just go back to we're actually in a unique situation. Now, Harris isn't the incumbent, but it's the same mentality. It's the same administration. And she was, on inflation, the vote that catapulted inflation. And these are the things that people look at and they go, well, wait a minute. Actually, there's a chance the guy that was president during that time that I want to go back to is running again.
Right. And that's where you want to go back to. This was on CNN yesterday. Okay, here we go. Home prices. All right, here's just a little bit of this report.
A just-released housing index reveals just how rough the market is, especially for first-time home buyers. It showed home prices for the nation's top 20 metro areas rose 5.4% from June of last year to June of this year, a record jump for that month. And renters, not just home buyers, are feeling a serious squeeze, especially in New York. Moody's found New Yorkers dedicated a whopping 58% of their income toward rent compared to 27% nationwide.
Republicans need to use that just in general. You know, there's a homeless shelter, which actually you've heard of it. It's the Arlington Life Shelter that I help support. And I went to a luncheon for them last week. And at the luncheon, you get to actually meet the people because their whole thing is not just to feed people. Yeah. But the fact is, if you want to stay there, you've got to want to change your life.
Right.
And they do. And that's why I support it, is because it works. They have a tremendous success rate in bringing people in who want to change their life, and they change their life. They provide them with everything they need, and as long as they have the incentive to do it, and that's the kind of thing that I love supporting. The biggest problem right now for homelessness, rent.
Yeah.
Rent.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
And so...
Simply running out of money, not being able to afford the rent.
Yep. And so inflation is still where people are at, and you can't forget it. You cannot sit there and say, okay, well, she's reversing her positions on all the... You got to bring it up to show that she's not a serious candidate, but stick to inflation and pound it over and over again, because it's the one thing that I see. And it's natural because... By the way, that's economics. That's why you can't change economics. You can manipulate an economy, but you can't change economics because people respond to incentive. So the fury you see on social media about home prices, about rents, about car insurance, about home insurance, that's organic. That's coming from the bottom up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Republicans and Trump campaign, pay attention. Yes, bring up everything else, but you've got to pound the inflation, and that's simply by saying you'll be better off like you were when I was in office before. This isn't hard to do.
Right. That's the simplest of all the political concepts on the table right now.
The other thing I want to make sure we bring it up, we talked about it briefly, but Jack Smith and the bringing back the indictment against Trump. I did read Jonathan Turley. He goes, he's bringing back the same charges with less evidence.
Right.
I didn't see him get into detail. I saw Andrew McCarthy get into the detail and basically said there's no way this case is getting very far before Election Day, and the case will likely see the superseder as the court will likely see the superseder as insufficiently attentive to Trump's ruling. He believes that the Supreme Court will look at this and go, no, sorry.
Right, this doesn't fly. You can't just go rework this.
Right, this doesn't fly either, right. And we'll talk more in detail of it coming up in future shows. The other one, a story I wanted to bring up, because we got football. By the way, I will tell you this. Yesterday was cutdown day in the NFL. I hate that.
Yeah.
These players who put in so much. I've never been one to sit there. I know there are players that are spoiled. I know that there are players out there that make life choices, but I've known a heck of a lot of professional athletes in my life. They're in a unbelievable competitive situation where a millisecond makes the difference between whether you succeed or whether you do not. Mm-hmm. It's an extremely hard physical job to have. Mm-hmm. I do not complain about the money they make at all. And I say that because I don't have a lot of knee pain. I don't have a lot of ankle pain. the injuries that you take in football and the pain that you take remain with you the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. As a young man, if I would have had that ability, I probably would have taken it. As a younger middle-aged man now, okay.
More experienced man.
Yes, as a man filled with decades of wisdom.
And me, as a mediocre man.
I look at it now and go, it's not worth it.
Right.
Because I look at the professional football players in their 50s and 60s and everything else, and I say to myself, thank God I was a tiny little runt.
Well, it's because you and I have actually, and I think a lot of people have, if you've ever witnessed a retired player walking and having trouble walking and you're clearly in pain.
Yeah.
It's, it's very sad.
Football is tough. But cut down day, I just think about the coach. I would not want to be a professional coach for that reason. I don't think I could handle cutting players that you knew you're like, man, you could be on our team and hopefully you get to another team. And I know that a lot of professionals, I mean, they understand what they're going into. Everybody does. It's still, to me, it's always been a heartbreaking when it's cut day. But to bring football into the discussion that you can relate to, I read the one article that said, a lot of fans are upset at Bill Belichick because he told the truth about the free agent burden. For example, he said, and Wall Street Journal wrote on it, for the latest evidence that state tax policy influences taxpayers' decisions, take a look at the National Football League. On Monday, former New England Patriots coach and general manager Bill Belichick, by the way, this may be the first time in my life I've ever agreed with him, explained that states with millionaire surtaxes like Massachusetts are at a disadvantage in attracting the best free agent players. That's Taxachusetts, Belichick said. During a discussion about free agents, virtually every player, even the practice squad, even the minimum players are pretty close to $1 million. Once you hit up the $1 million threshold, you pay more state tax in Massachusetts. It's just another thing you've got to contend with in negotiations up there. It's not like Tennessee or Florida or Nevada or Texas or some of these teams that have no state taxes. You get hit pretty hard with on that with the players' agents. They'll come and sledgehammer you down about the tax that they're paying. Massachusetts used to have a 5% flat tax on incomes above $8,000, but in 2022, the state imposed a 4 percentage point surtax on incomes over $1 million. The Patriots are way under the NFL salary cap and have money to outbid other teams for top talent, but they have recently lost out on free agents they were reported to be courting. Taxes may not have played a role in those cases, and pro athletes make team decisions for many reasons, from championship prospects to management to weather, but most have short career horizons with high dollar earnings. The state tax delta is not a rounding error. Now, by the way, we know this for a fact. This is something that players talk about all the time.
All the players factor this in. They know. Look, you look for the best deal you can, and that includes the taxes you're going to have to pay in whatever taxing jurisdiction you're playing in.
Jordan Poyer, who now plays with the Miami Dolphins, was playing for the Buffalo Bills.
Mm-hmm.
And when he went through contract negotiations the other day, or a couple of years ago, he talked about the fact that, what the heck, I can go to Miami and make a lot more money making the same thing I make in Buffalo.
Right.
Because there's no state tax there.
Right.
And in New York, there is.
Right.
So don't tell me it's not on their mind. You and I talked about a player that makes $10 million. You're in a state like Massachusetts or whatever, and they're charging you 8%. That's $800,000 that's gone.
Yep.
What is it, 13% in California?
Yeah.
The average NFL player, if they make a squad, only lasts 3 to 4 years.
Right.
That's
a
serious
huge
money.
chunk.
Yeah, you take that over a 3-year period.
That's a good retirement, basically.
Yeah. 866-90-RED-EYE.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Friday Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Wow, it's going to be still an exciting week coming up. There's so many twists and turns, but I don't, in this election, the interview could be part of the twist and turn. I think that there's so many twists and turns. The Jack Smith thing, the left was jumping on that yesterday, but that'll be gone in a couple days.
Well,
it's not going anywhere. We talk about people living in the bubble of today. What's the bubble of today? Every day, each and every day, and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Inflation.
It really is. And, with the sit-down interview, whatever it's going to be, it really comes down to this, that Kamala Harris has an obligation to give some answers to the American people, and Tim Walz is just the person to do that. A wingman.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.